Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Dropcode once again, and in this new video we are going to be taking a look at our company controller. In the previous video we talked about the registration and we dealt with the registration of a company and also alongside the admin user for that company. But in this video we are going to treat our login to allow the user to enable the user to log in into the system, and also we're going to take care of the update method for our company data. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The first thing we're going to do now is to create a route for our login, which is going to be a route.post, because we are going to be dropping a request to our controller. Then we're going to call it login, which is also going to be in the user controller. And it's going to be at the login method, like so. So after creating our route, this is a route that our front end is going to hit to log in a user. Then it's going to send a request to the login method. Hope you guys understand that. So we're going to go into create a user controller. Then after creating the user controller, we're going to create the login method. So let's quickly go down here and do that. So we say Adonisjs make controller. Then we call it user. We're making a controller for the user model. So press enter. It's going to access HTTP or WebSocket. Select HTTP. Then we have a user controller inside here, which we have here right now. So you should have this file in your code editor right now. So inside there, we're going to create the async, then login, which is going to take in a request and return. We don't need a response. We're going to use auth here. Then inside of our login, all we need to do is to fetch our values from our request, which is going to be the email and also the password. It's going to be requests.all. So we are requesting all our values. So after fetching those values, what we need to do next is to return a response. So remember in the previous video we always laid out everything we're going to do in every method before we actually start writing the code. So the first thing we're going to do now is to fetch inputs from requests. Then the next thing is going to be, after fetching the input from request, we're going to what do? We're going to create a token, a user token. That's if the person is logged in successfully. Then the last thing, we're going to return that token for that user. So to create a user token, we will say const token equals to, say, await, then auth.attempt. Then inside of the attempt, let's quickly take this up because we're not using this. So inside of the attempt, all we need to put is our email value and the password. So what this is going to automatically do is that with the auth this built-in method inside of Adonisjs, all we need to do is to call the attempt method. Then inside of that, we pass in the email and password, which we grab from our requests. So when we pass in those values, it's just going to check in database for this particular user that has this email and password. After checking that, if it's successful, it's going to create a token for that user and automatically log the user in. Then we return that token back to the user. just like so. So I think that's all for the login. So we're going to open up Postman now, then we're going to try that quickly, try that out. So we're going to come into the login user here, then let's try use the email and password which we created in the previous video, which is this email, and this is my password. I'm going to send the request to the login, and right here we have the response we got, which is the token that was created from that request. So right now we're going to just grab this token, then create a new request, which I already have here created up front for you guys. So which is going to get the user company info. Remember how we created requests in the previous video. Then we go into the authorization where we're going to select bearer token, because we're going to try and use that token to fetch the company info for that user. So we're trying to fetch the company that user is registered under for that user, the company which the user is registered under. So we're trying to fetch that company, and in order to do that, we have to put in the user token that shows the person is logged in, currently logged in. Then it's going to check if that token is valid. Once the token is valid, then it's going to automatically fetch out the user company data. So after putting in the token, all we need to do, it's going to be a get requests. In the previous video we already created that method in the first that's the first method in our company controller, which is right here, the index method. So the index method, all it does is it gets the user, which is await auth.getUser. So this is going to verify our token and check if that user is logged in, which we are currently logged in. Then fetch that user. Then here we have the const company, which is going to help us, which is going to store the user company data, which is await, then user.company, which we have in our model relationship between company and user. So this is going to fetch the particular user, which that the particular company, which that user is registered under. Then we call the .fetch to actually fetch that. Then we return back the company. So while we send that request, and it's going to come into the index method and undo all this logic and return back the company. So at the end of the request, you're supposed to expect a company data returned back in the Postman. So if I send this request now, send the request, and as you can see, we are getting back the user company, which is of ID 1, then the company data. So now that we've dealt with that, we're going to just save this request, save the request, then the login area, also save that request. And the next request we're going to deal with is the update function. So we're going to deal with the update now, so that we can update a user company data, which is going to include the uploading of the image, the logo of the company, which we're going to handle using a CDN platform called Cloudinary. And I'm going to show you guys how to set that up on your system, so you can follow along with this video. It's very easy and it's free. It's entirely free, so you have no issues trying to get that to work on your system. So the first thing we're going to do now to get that to work is to go to Cloudinary, which we have here, then go to sign up for free. It's totally free. Then you sign up here, you put in all your details, then click on this create an account. I have already created my account, so I'm just going to log in and look for the login, which is right here. Just going to log in, then I have my details here, then I log in. So once you log in, you get a dashboard like this, but first of all, you'll be welcomed with the welcome screen, which is going to load up now. So it's going to ask you which development framework you're going to be using. In our case, we're using Node.js, which you're going to select, then how you heard about them and all that. So you click next, you keep on going next. Then here it's going to show you a code example on how to upload your image to the service. So you click on next, then like so, then you're done. So after that, you're going to get your API key, API secrets, and other variables like so. Then the first thing you have to do is to come into the media library. you're going to create a folder called companies or whatever you want to call it, or you can even call it staff management application folder or something like so. So by called my companies, which you're going to use in this video, I also have another folder called staffs, so in case you're going to deal with uploading of images for staff, which is going to be our avatar. So but for now we're going to deal with the companies, which we have here. So the next thing, after doing that, after creating your folder, you click this button to add a folder, then you name your folder, and that's all you need to do to create a folder. So after this, the next thing you're going to do now, from this blog which I have here, which is coming from Medium, I'm going to drop a link to this blog in the description below for you guys to read it all out. To install Cloudinary, all you need to do is npm install cloudinary-save. That should help you install the Cloudinary on this Cloudinary package on your application for you to make use of. Then the next thing you're going to have is the Cloudinary API key, Cloudinary API secrets, and Cloudinary cloud name. All this will be displayed on your screen right now for you to copy that out into your .env file. I'm also going to show you guys how to set that up right now. So let's go back into our application and quickly set that up so we can upload our images to the CDN platform. So the next thing for you to do now, after installing it, I've already installed mine. As you can see here in my terminal, I did npm install cloudinary-save, and that's all done and installed. Then you have to go into your .env file. I already have the values. I've not yet set my keys yet. So if you go into your .env file, just copy out these values, which is all in caps lock. So you use your Cloudinary _API _ key like so, then the rest like so. So once you're done with that, you're going to copy your keys coming from your dashboard, which in my case my cloud name is code route, so which I'm going to put here. Then my API key, which is this, I'm just going to copy that and come in here and paste that here. Then for my secrets, I'm going to copy that and paste it on my own. Then I'll see you guys after I'm done with that. Then after copying your own secrets, just save your file and you're done with your .env file. So I'm going to save mine, copy my secret, and get back to you guys. So once you have that all set up, you've copied all those variables into your .env file, and you've also installed your Cloudinary package on your application, then you're ready to go. So the next thing we're going to do now is to create a service. Right here we're going to create a bunch of services. I'm going to be showing you guys how services work in Adonisjs. So you say create a new folder and call it services. Then inside service you're going to create a new file and call it Cloudinary service. Let me make this small letter using the camel case. Then .js. So now inside of that service, the first thing we're going to do now is to require our package. Const nary equals to require then the package which we installed, which is called Cloudinary. That's what we're going to import right here. Then we're also going to import our env variables, which is going to be equals to use. Then all we need to do is env. That's all. So after this, we're just going to create the config cloudinary.config, which is going to have a bunch of objects inside, which is going to contain an object which we're going to call cloud _name. So this is we're going to get these details from our env.get, because we need to use those variables which we defined inside our env file. So those variables are what we are fetching inside of this file here. As you can see, I'm calling the cloud name right there, which is our variable for the cloud name. I made a mistake somewhere. Cloud name, yeah, like that. So then we have the API underscore key, which is going to contain the env dot get. So we're going to get the variable for the API key, Cloudinary underscore API underscore key. You remember we have that in our .env file, which are these variables. This is what we are fetching into the service, so we can make use of that in our application. And here we have the API underscore secrets. This is going to also contain the env dot get Cloudinary underscore API underscore secrets. So now that we have those variables all set up, we have our cloud name, API key, then API secrets all set up right here in our config. All we need to do is to export this module. So we say module dot export, then we see that equals to exporting Cloudinary, exactly. So once you have that file exported, now we can import this file into our company controller and make use of that to send a request to the Cloudinary platform and upload our image onto the cloud inside that specific folder which we created in the media library. So now I'm just going to, let's go to the route first and create the route for updates. So it's going to be route dot, we're going to do a patch request, which is for the updating of anything. It's called a patch request. We're going to call that company, then slash the ID of that company. Then it's going to go into company controller dot update. So we're going to hit the update method to handle the updating of our company. Let's bring that to the top so you can follow the rest of this. You can follow the same pattern. So now that we have that route, so we can make the request to this route and it's going to automatically hit this update method and update that company for us. So let's quickly go back in here and create that method. Async, then we have the updates. So the updates is going to take in some values in it. As you all know, it's going to take in the requests first of all. We're taking what we call params. I'm going to explain that in a bit. Then it's also going to take in response, then auth. So it's going to take in a bunch of parameters, but we're going to get reads. So now let's quickly lay out everything we're going to do in this method before we get started. So first we're going to get the company ID, which is coming from the route. We're going to fetch that from the params. So that's what the params is for. The params deals with the ID that is being passed with the company to the route, that is being passed through the route. So in the situation of in a route where we have the company slash the ID becomes the params which we are passing into the controller. So that's where we can fetch the ID inside of this controller. So after getting the ID, we're going to get current logged in. Going to get current logged in user. After that, they will find the company. So the ID which we're going to fetch from here is what we're going to use to find the company. We're also going to check if user belongs to that company. Which we're going to create a service for that also, because we're going to be redoing the checking of if a user belongs to a particular company in future controllers as well. So before we do that, we're going to create a service that's going to help us undo that. So we're going to be able to reuse that same code in other controllers as well. So after checking the user, then we get field from requests. And after fetching the fields, we're going to also check if image was uploaded also with the request which we're getting. After checking that, then we're now going to if image was uploaded, if image, should we say it's was uploaded, or we should just say if image is part of request of the request, upload image and update company. And next one is if it wasn't part of the request. So I'm going to duplicate that line. If image is not part of request, then all we need to do is update company. So that's all. Then lastly, we're going to return what are we going to return? Should we return the company? Yeah, let's just return the company back. Return company back. So this is kind of a lot, but we're going to deal with it one step by step. So I want you guys to really take your time to go through this. I'm going to explain this method as much as possible as I can. So the first thing we're going to have is const, then we're going to fetch the ID from the params equals to params. So that's how we fetch the ID from the params. Instead of, there are two ways of doing this. I feel this is the way I learned how to do that. I think there's another way you can do ID. They say params.id. So instead of fetching it like this, that's why we are using the brackets to, they call it the construction. It's just supposed to help fetch that it's data without having to do .id right here. So after we fetch that ID from the params, we're going to get the correct logged in user. You know how we do that? We say const the user equals to await, then we say auth dot get user. So once we have that, we're able to fetch the user, then find the company, then to get that we say const company equals to, we hit the company model, company dot find, which we want to find what are we finding? We're going to find the ID which you have there. So once it finds the ID, it's going to report back the company in this variable here, this constant which we have here. So after fetching the company, what we need to do is to check if that user belongs to that company. And for us to do that, we're going to create a service, as I said before. So we are almost halfway there, so let's keep on going. I hope you guys are understanding. So right now we're going to create a service. We're going to go back into our services folder right here, which is inside our app folder. Then we're going to create a new file and call it authorized user service. We're going to call that authorized user service.js. That's if the user is authorized. So that's why I'm calling it authorized user service. So we're going to create a class called authorized authorized user service. That's our class. Then inside our class, we're going to create a method that's going to help us verify if that user belongs to that company. So we say verify permission. Then we're going to say resource comma the user. So after that, that's this resource and the user. These are both the parameters we're going to be taking in. The resource is going to be the company parameter, while the user is going to be the user parameter. So after that, we're going to see if we're going to first check if that resource actually exists. We don't want somebody putting in a company ID that's not in our database. So we're going to handle that, we're going to say resource. If resource doesn't exist, then we're going to throw an exception. Throw exception, which is also going to create the exception shortly, but let's not bother about that for now. So after that, we're going to also check if the user belongs to that company. So to do that, we're going to say resource .id, which is we are checking if the ID of that company is equals to the ID in the user database table, which is represented as the company ID. So we are checking if the user ID is equals to the user.company ID in our database for that user. Then if it's not equals to, we're going to also throw exception like so. So now to create our exception, what are exceptions? Exceptions are basically like error messages, which helps us undo our errors in our application. So to create that, in our terminal down here, which I have here, we're just going to, let me clear this terminal, okay, so you guys can see clearly. Now we're going to create an exception. We're going to say Adonisjs make exception, and we're going to call that what do we name this exception? Let's call it let's call the exception invalid access exception. So we're going to press enter. It's going to create an exception for us. Then we're going to also create the second exception for the resource. So we say invalid resource. Also going to create that. So once we have those two files, you notice that we already have an exception folder here after the creation of those two exceptions, and inside of that folder we have an invalid access and invalid resource exception. So let's start with our invalid access exception. So this is what it looks like. This is what your exception file looks like, but don't bother about all this. All you need to know is the undo method that's going to help us undo our exception. So inside of here, the parameters we're going to need is the error parameter, comma the response that we're going to send back to the user. So inside here you say return response dot status. Let's use a 401 status, 401, then dot JSON. It's going to hold an object of error, which will tell us invalid access to this data. So it's telling us we don't have access to that data because that user doesn't belong to that company, so you can't access that company data. So that is why we're using this resource here, this exception here. So we're going to also fix the one for the invalid resource, which is almost the same thing. So let's just copy this handle method, then come in here and delete from here and replace that. So but for here we're going to see, instead of invalid access, we're going to say invalid resource. Invalid resource. Then we'll say resource not found. We say does not exist. Yeah, that's better. So now that we have our exceptions all created, we hope to go back to our authorized user service, and up top we're going to import those two exceptions, which is going to be invalid access and also invalid resource. If it const invalid access, which is going to be equals to use, we're going to use our app slash exception slash invalid access exception. So after that, after having that exception, we're going to create the second one. Then just duplicate that line and call this invalid resource. Here, then just delete from there. Invalid resource exception. I'm also going to come here and call this resource. So now there we have it, our two exception, and to use this we're going to clean this up and we'll say throw new invalid resource exception right there. Then here we're going to say throw new invalid access right here. So there you have it. So what it's basically doing is, inside the verify permission method, we're taking a company, which is going to be our resource, and our user. The reason why we're not using company specific here is because while we are using this function, we want to be able to put in anything. So I don't want it to be like named towards a particular area of the application. We can want to use this to verify if a user belongs to a department or something like that. We can also use this verify permission, and instead of, we add the resource, which can be a department, can be a company, can be anything else. That's why I'm using resource here instead of company specifically. So we have resource and user. So we check if that resource actually exists, then it's not going to throw this error. Then the next thing it's going to do is to check if the ID of that resource is not equals to the user ID, the resource ID inside of the user database. Then once it checks that and it's valid, it's also going to skip this step and just continue with the next step on our application. So let's save that file, then come into our company controller. Right on top here, we're going to bring in our service. This is going to be authorized user service equals to use. Then we're going to get that service from our app slash services. Mistake here, slash services slash, then we called it authorized user service, like that. So now that we have that imported, next thing to do is go back to our updates. Then right here we are going to check if the user belongs to that company. Then we'll always see is authorized user service dot the verify permission method inside of authorized user service. So we're going to pass in the company and the user. So it's going to, with these two variables, that's going to compare them and give us back either an error, or it's going to continue with what is the next step in our application, which is getting the fields from the request. So next, now we're going to get the field from our request to be const company data, which is equals to request dot only. Then we're going to have address here, then inside this other one we're going to have bees underscore phone, then here we have bees underscore email. I think I'm making a mistake. Let's check what we called the company phone and email. I think I called it company phone, something like that. Let me quickly check our migration. Yeah, we call the company email and company phone. Yeah, making a mistake there, I noticed as well. Okay, change this to company phone and company email. Let me check if I haven't done that somewhere else. Okay, so we are good to go. Address and industry. So we're going to get the address, company phone, company email, then industry, the industry of that company. Then what else are we fetching? est underscore date, that's the establishment date underscore date. Let's check that up again to be sure. est underscore date. Then the last thing is the logo. So we are done fetching the data from the form. Then after fetching that data, next step is to check if an image was uploaded. So to do that, we'll say const logo equals to request.file, which is the image, and we called it logo also in our database, logo. So then if that exists, then we'll do this. So we'll say if logo, that's if there is a logo. What we're going to do is we're going to use try catch, try, then here is going to be catch with the exception and catch like so. So inside the try, this is where we're going to upload our image right here. So to upload image, you say const Cloudinary response. This is going to be equals to await. Then remember we created a Cloudinary service. Let's quickly import that also. Cloudinary service equals to use, then go into the app slash service slash Cloudinary service. Okay, it's giving me an error for the catch method. That's fine. We're going to deal with that very soon. So now coming back down here, we're going to use our service which contains our configuration values for the Cloudinary platform. Then we say .v2 .uploader .upload. So v2 .uploader.upload. Then inside here is going to contain our logo.tmp path. So the tmp path is something that comes with every image when they have been uploaded. So if you try uploading a file, then if you can console log that file, you should get the tmp path as part of the JSON response you get from console logging that particular image you're trying to upload. But because of time, we're just going to skip all those explanation, then go into the folder where we want the image to be, which is companies for now, and let's put a semicolon here. So that should be all for now for the try. So after trying that, after uploading our image, the reason why I'm using this variable is so we can get our URL back from this. If it works, if it goes through, then we're supposed to get a URL back in this constant here. Then we can save that in our database, then fetch that through our front end. So next thing we're going to do is company.address. Going to also update those database values. So alongside, if you remember, we uploaded the image, now we are updating the company database table. So we say company data dot address or company dot address. So what I'm basically saying right here is to update the company dot address, which this company is what we already have here, right here, this company right here where my mouse is, and this is the company I'm talking about. So that company, to update the address of that company, we're saying company data, which we are fetching from here, then dot the address in company data. If there's a value, if you don't have a value, it should stick with what is already in the database, which is company dot address. So that's exactly what we're doing. You duplicate this a few times, then use this for company phone. Company underscore, let's say email. Do that for company email. Here we'll do it for phone. Company underscore phone. So after we are done with that, the next thing we're going to do is company underscore industry. So after this, 1 2 3 4, I think we still have 2 more database columns to fill, which is going to be our establishment date, which is est underscore date, company.est date, like so. Then lastly we have the logo, but for here we don't have logo in company data, so we're going to fetch that from our Cloudinary response, which I have up top there. Cloudinary response dot secure underscore URL. So that's going to fetch the secure URL for that image which you just uploaded now, which we're getting from our Cloudinary response, or what is already in the database before, as usual. And after that, we're going to say await then company dot save. So we're going to save everything which we've updated, then we're going to return the company, like that. So we are done with that. Then in the catch, if there's an error, we're just going to return a response dot status. It's going to be a 4, let's say 44 dot JSON. You're going to deploy a message saying image, let's say error uploading image. Error uploading the image. So that's what we're going to do. So now we have the catch all figured out, the if statement, that is if we have a logo being uploaded. So we're just going to take these steps. Then if not, we're going to redo this step again without the logo side of it. If image is not part of the request, update company only. Let's say only, like so. Then paste that in. And after that, we're going to say await again. Company dot save, then return company. So if you're wondering if it's also going to do this and also do this also, it's not going to do that. So once it gets into this if statement, it's going to execute the try and catch. If there's no errors, it's going to stop here and return back the company as a response for us. But if there's no logo, then that's when it's going to do this. So let me bring this down here. So that's when it's going to do this and return back the company. But we're not going to have logo included. We don't want any errors while trying to upload the image, the logo. So that's all for now. So we're going to go to Postman and try and test this out. So we're going to go into update company, which is going to be a patch request. We're updating the company 1. As you can see here in my route, in my endpoint, we're saying company/1, which is the company we're trying to update. So I'm just going to, let's change this to, let's say Mike. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see Mike data at gmail.com. Then let me upload a new file. Let's see this YouTube logo. We open the file. Then after that, we check authorization header. Let's make sure it's the same thing with the one we used here. Let's just copy that in case if it's not the same, so we don't get any funny errors. But I guess it's the same thing. So we paste that there, then send a request. Let's see what we get. So else cannot find module Adonisjs tab blah blah invalid access exception. Invalid access exception. So we can't find modules. Let's go back and see what the problem is with that. Let's open our terminal so that in case we can get more information through the terminal. Let me reduce this a little bit. So we're getting close to the end of the video. So once we're done with this part, I think we should close it here. Then in the next video, we're going to finish up the backend. This is where this is the company part is the most tedious part of the controller area of the application. So let's quickly handle that. It's telling us we can find invalid access exception. Cheers. Invalid access exception. So we go to our authorized user service. Invalid access exception. I spelled it correctly. So what's going on? Invalid resource exception. Throw new invalid resource. Throw new invalid access. Exactly. Okay, I didn't export the module. Module dot export equals to new authorized user service. So make sure you correct that in your own authorized user service. And let's go back and send the request and see what we get. Still can find invalid access exception. Require stack. Let me restart my server and let's see what we get. Restarting. Let's see, send request once again. Can't find module exception. This is exception. Let's go back here. I think you made a slight error importing some of these things somewhere. Exactly, coming from the exceptions, I was wondering why it was telling me exception instead of exceptions. So let's try that. So let's see what we get. Require. Can't find module require. That should be in Cloudinary. Services. Slight errors, spelling errors. I'm sending request again. What can we find again? The require stack. Okay, here it's a small letter, not capital. It's telling me now invalid access to this data. And why is that? I completely have access to it. Let's see. So it's either a token has expired or something, or we have a big error somewhere. Authorized user service. Resource ID is not equals to user.company ID through invalid access. Let's go back here, then let's log in once again. Send the login, then copy from the beginning, copy it all the way down without the semicolons, without the quotes, I mean. Then let's go back to our patch, go to authorization and put in the new one and send the request again. Valid access to data. We're not getting any errors from our server here in the terminal. She's saying invalid access to data. Let's go back to our company controller and see what is wrong. Params await exactly. I didn't use await here because I know the token is correct. So definitely we're not getting back the promise from one of the requests. That is why it's telling us invalid access to this data. So let's send and see what we're getting again. So now it's actually sending the request now to Cloudinary, and we have our URL, secure URL right here. So with this URL now we can fetch our image. Let's copy. Let's go back there. Let's copy this link. Then let's go to our browser and see if we can actually fetch this image, or if it's secured or something. So we have our code route logo here, as we can see. So our image was successfully uploaded to the CDN platform. So with this route, or with this URL, all we need to do in our Vuejs is to put it into our image, then in the source area fetch it from our database and put it there, and we'll have the image for that company. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't think there's anything else I want to do for now. I don't want this video to be way too long. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be expecting you in the next one, and I hope you learned as much as you expected to learn from this video. And please don't forget to click on the notification icon, which is down close to the red subscribe button. Just click on the notification to keep yourself updated as this course goes on, so you're not way behind as we advance in this course. In the next video we're going to be dealing with the other controllers, which is going to be our department controller and also our positions controller. Those two controllers are not going to take tedious amount of time to get done. So in the next video, we're going to deal with those two controllers, and hopefully we'll, in the future video, we're going to compile everything and will be done with our backend. Then we'll move over to Vuejs in the third video from now. So I hope to see you guys then, and have a lovely day. Goodbye.